Most people are not suffering because they lack opportunity. They are suffering because they're loyal to their weakness. They pamper their excuses, justify their laziness, and cradle their distractions. And then they wonder why nothing ever changes. Isn't that something? They say, if only I had better luck. If only I had more time. If only people would understand me. But life doesn't respond to if only. It responds to discipline, to change, and to courage. Weakness doesn't announce itself like a monster in the closet. No, it whispers like a friend. It tells you, you deserve to rest today. It says, you've worked hard enough when deep down you know you haven't. It says, start tomorrow, and yet tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year. That's how lives pass by unnoticed. One excuse at a time. Let me tell you something I've learned. Noise is often a cover for confusion. Excuses are the language of the poor in spirit. They're smooth, they're convincing, and worst of all, they feel true. But let me tell you something critical. An excuse might give you comfort today, but it will cost you your future tomorrow. You cannot rebuild your life with excuses in your toolbox. You rebuild by replacing words with results. Results speak, excuses only echo. Now, people say things like, I didn't have the time, or they didn't give me the chance, or I'm just not built for this. Let me tell you, that kind of language doesn't build empires. It doesn't create wealth. It doesn't forge character. It only keeps a person warm in their comfort zone while the fire of potential burns out quietly. If you catch yourself explaining why you couldn't, stop right there, mid-sentence. Catch it in mid-air and turn it into action. If you're tired, do it tired. If you're unsure, do it uncertain, because motion creates clarity. But excuses, they create fog. Every time you excuse your way out of action, you lower the standard of your life. Bit by bit, moment by moment, until one day you wake up and don't recognize the man in the mirror. Now, like what I heard once, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. That one changed my life. The problem is not the mountain. It's the mindset. Life is hard, sure, but you weren't made to be soft. You weren't built to bow under pressure. You were designed to grow, to stretch, to rise. But to do that, you must remove every excuse that slows you down. You've got to cut them off like dead branches in winter, because they drain the energy from your growth. Do you know what I've learned over the years? People don't respect words. They respect results. You don't need to convince anyone that you're serious. Let your transformation speak. Let your transformation speak. Walk into a room with progress, and you won't need to say a word. And let me add this. Don't explain your failure. Correct it. That's how you earn self-respect. That's how you build confidence. Excuses are clever, but results are final. One shows you're trying to escape. The other proves you're growing. So if you want to kill the habit of excuses, replace every excuse with an action, no matter how small. You'll find that you don't need to say, I'm trying anymore. Your life will start to prove it. Excuses are easy. Growth is hard. But only one pays off. There's a subtle trap that ruins more dreams than failure ever could. It's the need for validation. Now, don't misunderstand me. It's fine to feel good when someone recognizes your effort. That's human. But when your identity starts depending on the applause, you've surrendered your power. You've handed over the steering wheel of your life to someone else's opinion. And let me tell you, that's a dangerous way to drive. When you constantly need someone to tell you good job just to stay disciplined, you've already lost the battle. Why? Because now your performance is based on their approval, not your own commitment. Rebuilding yourself Really rebuilding starts when you stop performing for applause. You must grow beyond the need for someone to clap for you, just so you keep showing up. I've said it before, learn to be happy with what you have while you pursue all that you want. And that doesn't just apply to material things, it applies to you. Approve of yourself in silence. Praise yourself privately for showing up on the hard days, for staying late, for saying no to distractions. Not every victory needs a witness. In fact, the most powerful victories often happen in the dark, behind closed doors, when no one's watching. If you're always waiting for a pat on the back, you're a servant to the mood of the room. That when you validate yourself, when you say, that was tough, but I handled it, and then get right back to work, you've taken back control. And it's a foundation worth building on. Now look around. Social media has turned people into performers, flashing progress before it's real, fishing for likes like it means something eternal. But you don't build discipline by showing it off. You build it by practicing it in silence. You don't get better by being seen, you get better by becoming. And becoming requires internal validation, not external noise. The strongest version of yourself doesn't need a cheerleader, he is the cheerleader. He pats himself on the back, then gets back to the grind, because he knows that results are louder than compliments. And the truth is, most people who cheer for you today will forget you tomorrow. So make sure you're not working for applause that fades. Here's a challenge. Next time you accomplish something small, don't tell a soul. Just smile to yourself and move forward. That's the muscle you need to build. Silent confidence, quiet power. Approve of yourself. Trust your own scorecard. Celebrate in silence. Then get back to work. That's how you break the weak habit of validation. That's how you build a foundation that doesn't shake. Comparison is the thief of your peace and the murderer of your momentum. Most people are not tired because of the work. They're tired because of the weight of watching someone else's progress. Let me tell you, the moment you measure your worth by someone else's highlight reel, you become a prisoner to a lie. People don't post their doubts, their losses, their lonely nights. They post the applause. And if you're not careful, you'll start running a race that was never yours to begin with. You want to rebuild yourself? Then kill comparison. Starve it. Starve it by shifting your energy inward. Your only real competition is the man you were yesterday. Beat him. That's where your focus belongs. Progress isn't about catching up with someone else. It's about catching up with your own potential. Don't ask how far ahead they are. Ask how far ahead you could be if you shut out the noise and did the work. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Why? Because your income can grow only to the extent that you grow. And personal growth doesn't happen when your eyes are always on someone else's lane. Look in the mirror, not out the window. Build yourself in silence. Improve your discipline. Stretch your thinking, and you'll find something incredible. You'll start to outgrow the very people you used to compare yourself to. But let me give you the truth that most people avoid. Comparison is a lazy habit. It's easier to scroll through someone else's wins than to confront your own weaknesses. It's easier to envy than to elevate. But that habit will bury your potential in shallow soil. Dig deeper. Compete with your weakness. Challenge your delay. Dominate your distractions. That's the only competition that matters. You see, the ones who rise are not always the most gifted. They're the most focused. They know that growth is personal. They don't waste time wondering who's ahead. They spend their time pulling their future closer, one small, disciplined day at a time. And when they do look up, they're not in the same league anymore. So eliminate the habit of comparison. Kill it before it kills your drive. Every time the thought comes, they're ahead of me, replace it with this: I'm ahead of who I used to be. That's the only scoreboard that matters. Keep score with your progress. Win against your doubt. That's how you rebuild. That's how you rise. Emotional reactivity is a sign of a weak mind. It's the habit of letting your emotions drive your actions, and it's one that will tear your progress apart. Every time you let anger, frustration, or fear dictate your behavior, you're handing control over to something outside of yourself. Strong people, on the other hand, respond, not react. They don't shout, they calculate. They don't explode over inconveniences, they pause and think. Rebuilding yourself starts when you learn to break the cycle of emotional reactivity. When something irritates you, when the world pushes your buttons, your first response should be silence. Not the kind of silence that hides your anger, but the kind that gives you the space to think clearly, to choose your response wisely. Silence is not weakness, it's control. It's power under control. In that stillness, you have the ability to reflect, to ask yourself, how do I want to show up in this moment? And when you respond thoughtfully, you show strength. You don't let the storm inside you dictate your actions. You stand firm, composed, and measured. The habit of reacting emotionally is a deep-rooted one, but it's also one of the easiest to break. The first step is awareness. Catch yourself in the act. Ask yourself in the act. Ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? What is this emotion trying to teach me? In those moments, choose to be calm. Take a breath. Respond with intention, not noise. You will be amazed at the power you unlock when you stop letting your emotions rule you. The key to this transformation is consistency. It's easy to be calm in the small moments, but it's the big moments that test your growth. And that's where most people fail. They don't realize that your ability to control your emotions is what separates the successful from the unsuccessful. When you can remain calm in the face of chaos, when you can hold your ground without losing your temper, you become unstoppable. Think about it. The greatest leaders, the most successful people, they're not the ones throwing fits. They're the ones who take a deep breath, process the information, and then act with precision. This is how you build yourself. You rebuild by creating habits of control. When you stop reacting and start responding, you stop being a slave to your emotions and become the master of your life. So, when you feel that anger rising, when frustration threatens to break through, remember this. Pause, breathe, and think. Your reaction is a choice. And the choice you make today shapes the life you'll live tomorrow. Respond with thought, not noise. That's how you build strength. That's how you rebuild yourself. Gossiping and talking about others is a habit that distracts you from your own purpose. It's a habit that feeds insecurity and weakens your focus. When you engage in gossip, you're not building anything of value. You're wasting your time, your energy, and your attention on things that don't serve your growth. And worse, you're letting your mind become polluted with noise that doesn't move you forward. To rebuild yourself, you must replace this habit with one of focus and discipline. The real strength comes when you decide to invest your time and energy into your own growth. When you stop talking about others, you start talking about your goals. You start working on your dreams in silence, letting your actions speak louder than your words. Work hard in silence, let your success make the noise. It wasn't just a catchy phrase. It's a principle that separates the men and women who build legacies from those who just talk about them. Real builders don't waste their time gossiping or speaking ill of others. They stay focused on the work at hand, trusting that the results will eventually make the noise they need. The truth is, when you're focused on your own path, you don't have time to concern yourself with the distractions around you. You put your energy into improving yourself, learning, growing, and achieving. It's time to let go of the weak habit of gossip and idle talk. Every time you find yourself talking about someone else's business, remember this. You could be using that energy to work on your own. And when you work in silence, the results will speak for themselves. People will notice your success, not because you talked about it, but because it's evident in everything you do. You don't need to tell the world what you're doing, you just need to do it. Let your actions, your work ethic, your discipline, your consistency speak for you. Stop broadcasting and start grinding. The more disciplined you become, the less you'll feel the need to talk. Discipline is the loudest form of communication because it shows up every day, even when no one's watching. Replace the habit of idle talk with a focus on work. Let your daily habits be the foundation for the life you're building. When you master silence, when you let your actions do the talking, you create a legacy that speaks louder than any words ever could. Stop getting caught up in the distractions of others and put all your energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Work hard, stay silent, and let your success do the talking. Mental laziness is the root of many failures. It's the habit of letting your mind wander aimlessly, of not challenging yourself to think deeply or grow. Most people don't realize this, but the mind is just like the body. If you don't exercise it, it becomes weak, sluggish, and prone to distraction. The difference between success and mediocrity often starts with one simple question: are you training your mind? You have to train your mind like an athlete trains his body. You wouldn't expect to run a marathon without first building strength, stamina, and discipline through practice. Same goes for your mind. If you want to build a life of success, you need to develop mental muscle. It doesn't just happen by accident. It's something you must work at every single day. Start by reading. Great minds are never idle. They read. They absorb knowledge, they ask questions and seek answers. Reading expands your thinking, helps you see the world differently, and challenges your beliefs. It sharpens your mind like a sword, cutting through ignorance and mental laziness. But don't stop there. Reflect. Take time to think about what you've learned and how you can apply it to your own life. Journal your thoughts. Write down your ideas, your struggles, your plans. This isn't just about self-expression. It's about sharpening your mind and keeping it engaged. Thinking is a skill just like any other. It requires daily practice. You need to intentionally focus your mind and push it beyond its comfort zone. Don't let your mind stay in neutral. Make it work. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. This is not just a quote, it's the key to everything. Formal education teaches you how to work for others. But self-education teaches you how to think, solve problems, and create value. And that's what ultimately leads to success. If your thoughts are flabby, your life will follow. Mental laziness shows up in the decisions you make, the habits you form, and the opportunities you miss. You must work harder on your mind than you do on your job. The mind that is sharp, disciplined, and focused creates a life of abundance. It finds solutions to problems, seizes opportunities, and pushes past obstacles. It attracts success not because it's lucky, but because it's prepared. Stop letting your mind slip into laziness. Train it, challenge it, feed it with knowledge and wisdom. Every day, take a little time to sharpen it. Build mental muscle through consistent effort. And just like an athlete who doesn't quit after a few laps, you must never quit on your mind. Make it your most powerful asset. When you train your mind, you give yourself the strength to take on any challenge and create the life you want. The moment you stop blaming others is the moment you take control of your life. If you're looking for someone to blame, you're looking for an excuse to stay weak. The truth is, your results are yours and yours alone. Whether you like them or not, whether they reflect success or failure, they are a direct reflection of your choices, your actions, and your mindset. The key to rebuilding yourself, to breaking free from weakness, is to stop pointing fingers and start taking full ownership. You must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. Those words are a powerful reminder that while the world may not always be in our control, our response to the world is always ours. We cannot control the economy, the weather, or other people's actions, but we have absolute control over how we respond. how we adapt, and how we rise above the challenges we face. When you take ownership of your outcomes, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop waiting for things to change for you. You stop looking for excuses to justify your failures. And that's when real change happens. You rebuild yourself from the inside out. You no longer wait for life to give you what you want. You go after it and you make it happen. Stop blaming your upbringing, your lack of resources, or the people around you for where you are today. The more you blame others, the less power you have to change your situation. Instead of blaming, take ownership. Look at where you are and ask yourself, what can I do to change this? The answer is always in your hands, but you can't see it if you're too busy blaming someone else. Remember, blame is a weakness, a crutch that allows you to avoid responsibility. But the moment you stop blaming others and start taking full ownership of your life, that's the moment you take the first step toward greatness. You are the creator of your own future. No one else has the power to shape your destiny unless you give it to them. So, own your results. Embrace them, whether they're positive or negative. Learn from them. Grow from them. And use them as stepping stones to get to where you want to go. When you stop blaming, you stop being weak. You stop being a victim. You become the architect of your own life. And that's when everything starts to change. Take ownership without flinching. That's the secret to building something real, something lasting. It's the secret to rebuilding yourself into the person you were meant to be. Stop scrolling, stop binging, stop numbing your mind with distractions. The world is full of consumption, movies, social media, food, entertainment, but none of it builds your future. It merely fills your time, but it doesn't make your life richer. If you want to rebuild yourself, you have to abandon the habit of overconsumption and replace it with a habit of creation and self-mastery. Weak people consume endlessly. They let the world feed them and drown in the noise. But strong people create quietly. They don't waste their energy on mindless consumption. They produce, build, and move toward their goals with intention. If you want to be one of them, you have to guard your time and your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your habits today are shaping your future. Every hour you spend consuming, whether it's endless scrolling through social media or watching shows that have no bearing on your life, takes away from the energy and time you could be spending building yourself. You need to ask yourself, what is this adding to my life? What value am I getting from this? If the answer is nothing, then it's time to walk away. Your habits build your future. What are your habits saying about the person you're becoming? Are they moving you closer to your goals, or are they keeping you stuck in a cycle of consumption? The more you consume, the less you create. And the less you create, the further away you get from self-mastery. Self-mastery comes from the quiet, disciplined acts of creation. Write, build, move. These actions are the foundation of a productive life. Stop numbing your mind with distractions and start developing it. Instead of scrolling through your phone, pick up a book. Instead of binge-watching TV, start writing down your thoughts, creating something of value, or building a project that will propel you forward. To abandon the habit of overconsumption, you must develop the courage to say no to instant gratification and yes to long-term growth. The world is designed to keep you distracted, to keep you consuming. But when you rise above that, when you choose creation over consumption, you begin to build the life you truly want. The key is not to abandon enjoyment. No. The key is to stop letting your enjoyment control you. The more you consume, the more passive you become. The more you create, the more powerful and purposeful you feel. Every piece of work you produce, every new skill you develop, adds to your wealth of experience, and in turn, builds your future. So, guard your input. What are you allowing to enter your mind? What are you feeding your spirit? Protect it, because what you consume shapes what you become. If you consume distractions, you will become distracted. If you consume knowledge, growth, and discipline, you will become stronger. It's time to create. It's time to stop over-consuming. Build, write, produce, and move. Guard your time. Your future is being shaped right now, and every decision you make in this moment builds the person you will become. The habit of overconsumption is a weak man's habit. Choose creation instead. That's where true strength lies. You rebuild yourself brick by brick, not in spurts. Success doesn't happen in bursts of energy. It's built on the foundation of consistency. The moment you allow inconsistency to creep in, you weaken your foundation. Success is not about quick wins. It's about showing up day after day, no matter how you feel. The weak habit of inconsistency destroys progress, while the habit of daily discipline creates it. Consistency is the mortar that holds success together. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're inconsistent, you'll never build anything of value. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That's the formula. Simple, but powerful. These small actions, repeated every day, form the basis of your success, whether it's a morning routine, daily exercise, or reading a book. The key is to commit to these actions and never skip them. Think about it like a craftsman. A craftsman doesn't rush his work. He doesn't cut corners. He shows up every day, sharpens his tools, and works with patience and care. A tourist, on the other hand, is looking for the easiest way to get from one place to another. The tourist isn't committed to the process. They just want the end result. If you approach your life like a tourist, you'll never build anything meaningful. You'll take shortcuts, leave things unfinished, and wonder why success keeps eluding you. A craftsman, however, is dedicated to his craft. He knows the value of small, deliberate actions. Every day he practices, refines, and builds. He doesn't need to see immediate results because he trusts in the process. And that's how you rebuild yourself. You don't need to see instant results to know that you're on the right path. What matters is that you show up day after day with the commitment to build something worthwhile. This is where the weak habits come into play. Sleeping in when you said you'd wake up early, skipping a workout because you don't feel like it, putting off your goals because you're distracted. These are all forms of inconsistency, and they hold you back. The moment you let inconsistency take root, you stop building. To eliminate this habit, you must make your routines non-negotiable. You decide in advance what needs to be done, and you do it regardless of how you feel. It doesn't matter if you're tired or if the day is tough. Success doesn't care about your moods. It rewards those who show up even when it's hard. If you want to rebuild yourself, you have to stop treating your goals like options. They're commitments. You build your life on consistency. Create rituals that support your success. Your mornings, your evenings, the actions you take between those hours, all of it matters. When you build your day around disciplines that serve your goals, you make success inevitable. And like a craftsman who works with precision and care, you'll begin to see the results of your dedication. Not in the big moments, but in the consistent, everyday actions that add up over time. Rebuild yourself by making consistency your ally. Build routines like a craftsman, steadily, patiently, and with purpose. Every small act of discipline repeated every day will bring you closer to the life you've always wanted. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, everything falls into place. Not magically, but methodically. The world is loud. It's filled with translations, opinions, noise that pulls you in 1,000 directions. The weak habit of noise chasing makes you believe that you need to be everywhere, doing everything, trying to catch every fleeting moment of attention. But the truth is, the more you chase after external noise, the more you lose sight of what really matters. Silence is not emptiness. It's the echo of focus. Focus requires silence, the kind of silence where you tune out the world and tune into what's important to you. The world is constantly shouting at you to look this way, listen to that, join this trend, follow this person. But all the noise in the world won't bring you closer to your goals. You must silence the distractions to hear your own voice, to hear your own thoughts. While others are chasing attention, you need to be chasing mastery. The difference between the successful and the unsuccessful is how they use their time. While the world runs in circles trying to get noticed and make noise, those who are successful are quietly working, getting better, refining their craft. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. This is the bridge you build when you focus on what matters. Discipline requires silence. It requires a focus that is so deep, so unwavering, that the world's distractions fade away into the background. Chasing noise is a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're looking for validation from the outside rather than from within. When you're constantly seeking the approval of others, you're wasting time and energy that could be better spent building your skills, improving your mindset, and mastering your craft. Every moment you spend chasing noise is a moment you're not investing in yourself. And when you focus on yourself and stay silent, you give yourself the chance to actually build something meaningful. This doesn't mean isolation. It means intentional quiet. It's about prioritizing what's important, cutting out the unnecessary noise, and immersing yourself in the work that moves you forward. It's about choosing your battles, choosing your focus, and not getting distracted by every little thing that comes your way. The power of silence lies in its ability to create space for deep work. When you stop the noise, you gain the clarity to think, plan, and execute. You become more efficient because your energy isn't scattered. You're not reacting to every external stimulus. Instead, you're actively working toward your goals with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're on the right path. The world will keep making noise, but your success doesn't depend on it. Your success depends on your ability to block it out, to silence the distractions, and to focus so deeply that the world fades away. The more you practice this, the more you'll realize that the true strength lies in what you're building in silence, not in the noise you're leaving behind. To rebuild yourself, stop chasing the noise. Focus on yourself, tune out the distractions, master your craft. Work in silence, and let your results speak louder than any noise could ever try to distract you. And when the noise dies down, all that's left is the quiet power of who you've become.